So the Pentagon reportedly weighing in, sending more than 10,000 additional troops to the Middle East as President Trump extends his pause on striking Iranian energy plants by 10 days. Retired four-star general, Fox News senior strategic analyst, chairman of the Institute of the Study of War, General Jack Keane, joins us now. General, we're 28 days in. How many more weeks do you think we need to finish the job, and what does finishing the job look like?
Yeah, certainly. Well, we got a little less than 3 more weeks in the minds of our commanders to complete this operation. Given it's taken a little over 3 weeks to get where we are, you can ascertain then that we have a lot of work still in front of us. And what does that really mean? Well, for a fact, we're going to accomplish all of the assigned objectives that President Trump has given the CENTCOM commander. And in talking to the IDF, they fully intend to accomplish all the objectives that Prime Minister Netanyahu has given to them. And the general time frame is as described, around 3 weeks. If it happens sooner, fine. If they have to take a little longer, we've said from the beginning that this is conditions-based. The enemy has a vote. And what is the enemy trying to do right now? Number one, they're trying to personally survive and keep the regime somewhat intact. And believe me, that is an enormous problem that they have. And you can see that you're reporting on it every single day here in what is happening to the leadership. And the paranoia that exists inside of that leadership is real. And the chaotic decision-making process in there is real. So we're fragmenting that leadership for sure, and we have weeks to go to do more of that. The second thing they're doing, in addition to trying to survive individually and as a regime, is they're trying to protect their assets. They know we know where everything is, and we're systematically taking them down. They want to save something for sure, so they have the ability to retaliate against what? When we begin to open up the Straits of Hormuz, if we're going to take Karg Island, they're going to want to do some kind of military retaliation against likely allies and partners in the region, and U.S. bases would be the easiest targets. Israel, a more challenging target, to be sure. And they're trying to hide that, deceive that as much as possible, protect some of those resources, while at the same time still trying to fire missiles and drones at our bases and at Israel. So that makes those targets identification and destruction more challenging. Are we going to be able to do that? You betcha. But it takes more time, it takes more identification, more tracking to do that. I try to describe it in a football analogy. You know, we're in the red zone here. We're on the 20-yard line. We're trying to get to the goal line, and the opposition is putting as much impediments in because they can see how close we are to attaining our objectives, and they're doing everything they can to prevent that from happening.
Right. We
have the wherewithal to get this done for sure. And major events in front of us is take down as many missiles as we can, all the drones and nuclear enrichment, all of those targets still there, not all completed yet. And obviously, we fully intend to open up the Straits of Hormuz and keep that open. And that means it's not just about escorting ships, it's about securing it to make certain it's protected. Right. And that it's an acceptable risk to begin and to move ships through the straits. And Iran's not going to sit on their hands while we attempt to do something like that. They're going to come after us, and we got to make certain we stop them.
And, General, I guess they're charging $2 million if you want to move your tanker through there, so the extortion's got to stop. I understand, too, what the Iranians are saying is, and the Houthis are confirming, they say they're ready to get into the act and essentially try to shut down the Red Sea if they say if the Iranians ask them to. What would we do if the Houthis get in? And why don't you think they're in yet?
Well, I think the reason why Hezbollah isn't full in, they're only largely attacking mostly in the north, and they have capability to range all of Israel's major cities. And the Houthis, it's self-protection. And listen, they're not sure Iran's going to survive. So why should they hang themselves out and lose all of their resources and their capability to impose their will in the area that they're most concerned about, right there in Yemen? Why do that if they don't think this regime is going to survive? And believe me, that has got to be a question mark for all of those proxies out there. And how much risk are they willing to take on, given the shaky situation the Iranian regime is in? That's got to be a part of the decision-making process they're going through.
I understand, according to reports, we had the coordinates, or the Israelis had the coordinates on the Speaker of the House and the Foreign Minister. And we're asked by the Pakistanis, don't kill them, we're dealing with them. Those are the two people we can talk to. So the U.S. told the Israelis to back off. Would that be a good move if that indeed happened the way I said it?
Well, I don't know anything about that, nor do I pursue inquiries like that. It's plausible something like that would happen to keep the lines of communication open for negotiations. Listen, anybody close to this knows who the Iranians are. None of us think that these negotiations will materialize. And the reason is simple for our audience to understand. We're asking Iran to give up, to surrender everything that we're willing to take away from them, everything. And if they don't do that, no deal. And that's the reality of what we're facing here. So are they in a position to do that? Given this 47-year history of the regime, their tendency is not to surrender all of that, to dig their heels in and try to survive.
Right.
That's more likely the path we're on. I actually prefer the military option anyway, because the military option continues to destroy that leadership, continues to break them down, continues to make them much more vulnerable to collapse after. It enables us to take Carg Island, which is 90% of their fuel distribution. That would cause economic collapse, and it gives us huge leverage in holding the regime accountable then for what? Don't go out and kill any of your population. If you do that, this is what we intend to do to you. It gives us huge leverage that negotiations would not provide us.
General, you had a huge day. You got up early for us. We truly appreciate you keeping your Friday appointment. General Jack Keane, thanks so much.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.